wake up, and before your eyes open, it's there. That tightening in your chest, that silent weight you carry everywhere. No words for it, just a feeling, heavy, familiar, invisible. It's shame, not the loud, dramatic kind, not the one that screams after a mistake. This one is quiet, subtle. It doesn't shout, it whispers, and you listen, without even knowing it. It tells you, don't speak too much, don't ask for more, don't take up space, and you obey. Because that voice doesn't sound foreign, it sounds like you. That's the trick of shame. It doesn't live outside you. It disguises itself as your own thoughts. It doesn't say, you did something wrong. It says, you are wrong. And that one shift changes everything. Suddenly, you start performing, smiling when you're not okay, agreeing when you're not sure, laughing when you want to scream. You shrink in conversations, you over-apologize, you question every decision, and then you hate yourself for being weak. But weakness isn't the problem. Shame is. It's the lens you've been looking through, distorting every moment, filtering every word, twisting every connection. Even love becomes a transaction. You don't receive it, you earn it. You work for approval, you fight for worth. And when you finally get it, you don't trust it. You think, if they really knew me, they'd leave. If they saw the real me, they'd run. So you hide, even in intimacy, especially in intimacy, because shame thrives in silence, in secrets, in the parts of you you swore no one should ever see. Maybe it started early, a look from a parent, a punishment for crying, a message that said, good kids don't act like that. Be strong. Don't be too sensitive. You weren't bad. You were just learning what parts of you were acceptable. And the rest, you buried them. You didn't lose your voice. You silenced it. To be safe, to be loved, to survive. But now, you're still surviving. Even when no one's hurting you anymore, you still scan the room for danger. You still feel like a burden. You still carry that old script that says, you are not enough. But here's what no one tells you. Shame is not truth. It's a story, passed down, repeated, embedded. And stories can be rewritten. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not unworthy. You were taught to believe those things by people who didn't know how to hold you, by systems that reward perfection over humanity, by a world more obsessed with image than truth. Shame says, you're the only one. But that's the lie it needs to survive. Because the moment you speak it, the moment you say, I feel this too, shame loses power. It feeds on isolation, but it dies in connection. And right now, you're not alone. You're hearing this. And something inside you, maybe the smallest voice, is whispering back, I want to be free. That voice matters. It's not weak. It's real. Keep listening to it. Even if shame shouts louder, even if fear follows close behind, even if your whole body wants to retreat, that voice is your return. You've spent years hiding, but not because you're a liar, because you thought it was the only way to be loved. Shame taught you early that parts of you were unlovable, not by saying it directly, but by how people reacted. The sigh when you cried, the silence when you shared, the rejection when you needed too much. So you learned to edit yourself, to censor your emotions, to perform what you thought was acceptable. And over time, you became an expert at being what others wanted, at playing it safe, at staying small. You smiled on the outside while shrinking on the inside. You gave more so no one would see what you lacked. You kept peace by betraying your truth. And you told yourself it was strength, but it wasn't. It was survival, a mask crafted by fear, held in place by shame, polished by perfectionism, and worn so long, you forgot it was a mask. That's the damage shame does. It doesn't just silence your voice, it rewrites your identity. You don't just think you're not good enough, you become someone else entirely, trying to be enough. And still, it's never enough. Because shame is a bottomless pit. You pour in your energy, your achievements, your relationships, and it swallows it all without ever saying, "You're okay now." That's why even success doesn't save you. You get the job, the partner, the praise, and you still feel hollow. Because shame doesn't care about what you have, it only sees what you're not. So you keep striving, keep fixing, keep proving, and slowly, you burn out. But here's something shame doesn't want you to know. You don't need fixing. You never did. What you needed was permission to feel, to speak, to not always be okay, to take up space, to need. But shame turned your needs into evidence of failure, your emotions into liabilities, your truth into a threat, and you believed it. Because shame is persuasive, it mimics logic, it wears the voice of your past, it convinces you that silence is safety, when really, it's a cage. But now, something's shifting, maybe slowly, maybe painfully. You're beginning to notice that hiding costs too much, that shrinking doesn't stop the hurt, it deepens it. You're beginning to ask, what if the parts I've hidden are the parts that can set me free? What if the softness you silenced is actually your strength? What if the vulnerability you buried is where your power lives? What if being too much was never the problem, but the truth trying to break through? You've been taught to fear your wholeness, to prioritize comfort over truth, to abandon yourself in the name of belonging. But belonging that requires self-abandonment isn't love, it's performance. And you're tired. Tired of pretending, tired of apologizing, tired of making yourself smaller so others won't feel uncomfortable. It's time to unlearn the lie that you must earn space, that worth is conditional, that your value depends on silence. You are not too sensitive. You are not too emotional. You are not too anything. You are human, and shame hates that, because being human means being messy, imperfect, real, and realness is the one thing shame can't survive. There's a moment when the mask slips, maybe just for a second, but it's enough. You say something real. You cry when you usually hold back. You tell the truth instead of saying, "I'm fine." And suddenly, you feel exposed, raw, seen, terrified, because you've spent years covering those parts of yourself, years believing that showing pain equals weakness, that softness is dangerous, that honesty costs love. But what if vulnerability isn't the enemy? What if it's the key? Shame taught you to hide. But healing begins the moment you stop. When you let someone see your mess and they don't run. When you speak what you've never said and no one leaves. When you sit in your pain and realize it doesn't destroy you, it softens you. This is what shame never wanted you to discover, that being seen can be safe, that you don't have to perform to be loved, that your unfiltered self isn't too much. It's just real. You don't need to impress. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to hold it all together. You just need to show up, fully, honestly, without armor. But doing that feels impossible when you've lived in shame for so long. Because shame doesn't just silence you, it trains your nervous system to flinch at kindness, to brace for rejection, to see danger in softness. And that's not your fault. That's survival, learned from years of subtle pain, from being misunderstood, dismissed, judged. But survival is not the goal anymore. You deserve to feel alive, whole, free, to speak without rehearsing, to rest without guilt, to be loved without proving. And you can, not by erasing who you are, but by reclaiming who you've always been, beneath the shame. This is the turning point, not a grand awakening, just a quiet decision. I won't hide anymore. Even if your voice shakes, even if you tremble, even if all you can say is, "This is me," that's enough. You are not your shame, you are not your fear, you are not your past. You are still here, still breathing, still worth it. And if any part of this feels like home, if something in you whispered yes while listening, it means you're ready. Ready to stop surviving, ready to start showing up, ready to stop letting shame define you. If this speaks to you, you don't have to do it alone. Subscribe to Depthora, not to escape yourself, but to come home to who you are. Healing from shame isn't loud. It's not a single moment of triumph. It's slow, messy, uneven. Some days you'll speak your truth and feel stronger. Other days, you'll want to disappear again. That's okay, because shame doesn't leave like a storm. It fades like smoke, lingering, until you stop breathing it in. And to stop breathing it in, you have to recognize where it hides. It's not always in obvious wounds. Sometimes it's in your habits. The way you say sorry when you haven't done anything wrong. The way you ask for things like you're inconveniencing the world. The way you overthink every message before sending it. The way you assume the worst, even when life is finally being kind. These small behaviors are the echoes of shame. The inner child who was told they were too much. The teenager who learned not to trust their own voice. The adult who mastered hiding so well they forgot what real feels like. But noticing these patterns doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're waking up. And awakening isn't always joyful. Sometimes it's rage, sometimes grief, sometimes deep, aching sadness for all the years you spent pretending. You might mourn the parts of yourself you buried just to be accepted, the dreams you silenced because they didn't fit someone else's expectations, the moments you needed comfort but got judgment instead. But beneath that grief is clarity. You start asking deeper questions. Who am I without my shame? What would I do if I didn't feel defective? What does it feel like to take up space without apology? And the answers don't come all at once. But the asking, that's the shift. Because shame wants you passive, silent, asleep. But questions are loud. They crack the shell. They let the light in. And slowly you begin to change. Not because you force yourself to, but because you start feeling safe enough to exist. You begin saying no, not with guilt, but with groundedness. You ask for what you need, not from desperation, but from worth. You stop editing yourself in every room you enter. And maybe for the first time, you start liking who you are when no one's watching. That's not arrogance, that's reclamation. Because when shame ruled you, even your joy felt suspicious. You questioned every compliment, you minimized every achievement, you distrusted every good thing. But now, you let yourself feel it. The joy, the warmth, the peace that comes from no longer fighting yourself. That peace doesn't mean perfection. It means you don't abandon yourself anymore when things get hard. You stay, with your fear, with your mess, with your softness, and in doing so, you send shame a message louder than any scream. I am still here, and I will not disappear for you. For most of your life, you thought love was about being good, being easy, being quiet, being convenient. Shame taught you that love is conditional, that you must earn it, manage it, hold it together, or lose everything. So you did everything. You became what they needed. You smiled through pain. You minimized your dreams. You waited. You gave. And all along, a part of you wondered, when will someone choose me? For me. But no one can choose you when you've hidden who you are. You gave them the mask, not the soul. You gave them the performance, not the pulse beneath it. That's the secret pain of living under shame. It convinces you that safety is in hiding, but then punishes you for being unseen. It wants you invisible but resents being ignored. And so, you break inside, quietly, repeatedly, not from one big heartbreak, but from 1,000 small self-betrayals. Every time you say yes when you mean no. Every time you swallow your truth to avoid conflict. Every time you abandon yourself to be accepted. You fracture, and those fractures become your foundation, until one day, you forget what wholeness ever felt like. But even then, even buried in that numbness, you still long for someone to hear your real voice, for someone to hold the unedited you, for someone to say, you don't need to be less to be loved. But before anyone else can do that, you have to say it to yourself. You have to become the one who doesn't flinch at your own softness, who doesn't turn away when the sadness rises, who doesn't rush to fix what simply needs to be felt. Because healing isn't becoming better, it's becoming honest. And honesty means sitting with yourself even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it is. It means looking in the mirror and saying, I have nothing to prove. I don't need to perform. I am not a project. I am a person. You are not your shame. You are the one who's been carrying it, and you've carried it long enough. It's time to set it down, not all at once, but slowly, with care, with grace. You begin by choosing yourself in small moments, by saying no without explanation, by resting without guilt, by expressing without fear. These are the revolutions shame never expected, not dramatic, but daily. And over time, they add up. They rebuild you. They bring you home, not to the person you were before the shame, but to someone stronger, wiser, deeper, because surviving shame changes you, but healing from it, that transforms you. You don't need anyone's permission to be who you already are. You've spent so long chasing it. Validation, acceptance, understanding, waiting for someone to say, you're enough. But the truth is, that power was never theirs to give. It was always yours. Shame made you forget. It rewrote your story, turned you into a shadow of yourself, afraid to be seen, afraid to be loved, afraid to exist without shrinking. But you're remembering now, and that remembering is dangerous to everything that once controlled you, because a person who no longer fears their own voice is free. A person who embraces their softness can never be manipulated. A person who sees their wounds and says, I still love me, that person is unstoppable. This is not about becoming fearless. It's about becoming honest in the presence of fear. You'll still feel it, the doubt, the self-questioning, the pull to hide again. But you'll notice it now. You'll see it not as truth, but as programming, not as weakness, but as a memory. And you'll choose differently, not perfectly, not always, but consistently. You'll speak when you once would have stayed silent. You'll take up space when you once would have stepped aside. You'll rest when you once would have pushed yourself to the edge. And slowly, without fanfare or applause, you'll come back to life. You'll feel joy without guilt, desire without shame, love without fear. You'll look in the mirror and recognize the one staring back, not as flawless, not as fixed, but as real. And that realness, it radiates. It changes how you love, how you connect, how you move through the world. Because when shame stops running the show, you stop performing and start living fully, openly, unapologetically. Not everyone will understand, not everyone will stay, but the people who do, they'll love the real you, not the version you crafted to survive, but the one you reclaimed to thrive. So breathe, let go. You don't owe the world perfection. You don't owe shame your silence. You owe yourself freedom. And this moment of awareness, this breath, this truth, is where that freedom begins.